Welcome to Roseflower Radio, the show that goes behind the scenes of your favorite independent artists and creatives. I'm Micah Wilson.
And I'm your co-host, Finlay. With us today, a rapper, artist, producer from New Orleans. With us today to talk about their music, their activism, so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, it's DAMAG3.
What the fuck's up?
How are you today?
I'm good.
Having definitely not spent an hour and a half here recording a different show already.
No, absolutely not.
No,
It's great to have just walked in,
Yeah.
just sat down. You know, I like the space. I like, oh wow, I like all these.
Yeah, seeing this for the
Not
first
yet
time.
accustomed to it, yeah.
What else did I compliment? The Van Halen wall.
Yeah, the Van Halen wall. I'm not a Van Halen fan. I didn't know that was a thing.
I don't know if it's the exact pattern.
I don't think it
just
is, but
immediately made me
it
think.
looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's exactly what we were going for, actually. No, yeah, that's exactly what I was trying
Nailed
to
it.
do with that, yeah.
I don't know why I just thought of the fucking South Park where Islam, Christianity, and Judaism united under 1,000 years of Van Halen.
Really? I never watched South Park.
I
I'm
think
always
the
out of the
episode's called
loop.
Ginger Cow. It's fucking hilarious. It's fucking hilarious.
Micah, throw it up there.
Just the full, it's like one of those
Yeah,
like
throw up the whole
TikTok things
episode
with like
right
the
there.
Subway Surfers in the bottom. We're going to have the podcast, but just the
Oh, yeah.
entire South Park episode is going to be
Do you-
running in the background.
Do you put like podcast clips with Subway Surfers or like Minecraft?
I've
jump
low-key
through?
been thinking about it.
It's insane how many, like, I'll see like fucking full movie productions and people post
Yeah.
like, because I mean every week I'm like watching a new movie on TikTok. And
Totally.
Yeah.
I get it fed piecemeal for like
Yeah.
a
Part
week straight.
37, you know?
I'm like, okay. And it's stuff that I'm like, actually, how have I not seen this?
Yeah.
But there will be so many comments where they'll be like, please, for the love of God, post like I need Subway Surfers to watch this. I'm like, oh my God.
Which why-
ADHD is becoming a dominant trait.
Yeah.
And why did they choose Subway Surfers?
Because
Out
it's
of-
a good throwback game, bro.
I mean, I guess. I'm not hating on Subway
I didn't know
Surfers.
what era the game's from. What's it?
2010 to 15?
Oh, shit.
Question mark?
I
Maybe?
It's like the Angry Birds era, I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Maybe or
that
maybe a little
is-
bit after. I think it like
that
came
is
in
way back.
after.
It's like Temple
Angry
Run, I
Birds,
felt
yeah.
like.
Oh, Temple. I feel like it was like the after Temple Run.
Regardless of...
Temple Run was the. Oh, this is a music podcast. We were talking about Temple Run. Okay.
No,
Forget
it's-
the music.
It's a... Yeah, let's jump into you a little bit. So, one of the things that we immediately were like, okay, what's going on here? In like every song and every single thing, there's always threes replacing
Oh,
E's.
yeah,
Is there a
yeah.
reason for that? Is it just aesthetics or like...
So there's a lot of reasons for sure. Number one, there's definitely there's two things. There's aesthetics. There's also this thing called unique searchability. If you search my song titles or my artist name, if you like go type in DAMAG3, there's one thing that pops up. It's me.
I can verify this as someone who did that yesterday.
And the most embarrassing thing, or like the easiest way to like kill credibility when you're like, when nobody ever where like nobody knows who you are, and you're like telling your first couple of people who have like never met you before. It's not like your friends and family like giving it a little pity stream, and like. When I was picking the name, I was told by like all the internet research I was doing, they were like, you should like put yourself in a situation where like you're gonna be saying it for years. You're gonna be like really think about it. And one of those aspects was unique searchability. Like, are you gonna really sit there at a bar or a party or an artist showcase or backstage, like as you meet people in your career, and sit there and like be like, yeah, it's like SG_1
Yeah, right.
exclamation point, and
It's a gamer tag.
it needs to roll off the tongue.
Totally.
Yeah.
It needs to be like, it needs to be said in passing, or you know, something so passively like heard by even someone who didn't like die hard become obsessed with you on the spot.
Totally.
To where they're driving like the next day and they might have like one of like the chorus of one song stuck in my head. They're like, who is Damage? Like,
Yeah.
they're like, or it's like something like where it's easy.
Yeah. And then on that note, where did damage itself come from? Was it just kind of that same concept, or does it have a deeper meaning to
It has a very deep meaning to me. So the short version is it's a BoJack reference.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of BoJack Horseman, and it did a lot of It was a huge catalyst for emotional growth for me, and for me to like really hold myself accountable with being a better person, which is something that when I started doing acid in like my early college days was like I became obsessed with the concept of me becoming a better person, but oh my God forbid I like actually do anything about it.
Yeah, right.
And that led to a whole lot of stuff. And part of like what was keeping me back like that was being in the closet and like this big like thorn in my side that was kind of like causing me to project that pain onto like other areas of my life and therefore other people. We can get into that later, but have you all seen BoJack? Have you finished it?
I've not finished.
Okay, so it's one of the later episodes in the second half of the 6th season, and which came out I think it was like the end of January or early February of 2020.
Yeah.
Right when everything was like shutting down. So I
Yeah.
had just got laid off. As a baseline, I was really emotionally attached to that show. I had just got laid off from my first out of college job, and like I felt like I was falling on my face after like doing everything I felt like I was supposed to do to like socially perform. And so I was in a very low and vulnerable spot, and I was ready to fucking kill myself. Sorry. But like I was really down bad. And I was in a very vulnerable space to watch this show, which is a very intense emotional show, watch it be completely resolved as much as it ends up resolving. And Diane's character goes through this. There's an episode called Good Damage, which I actually have a tattoo of. It's like good with a strike through of damage. And so I got that shortly after, like, after things opened back up. And then I didn't pick Damage until like maybe 6 months after getting this tattoo. So I do want to clarify, I did not get a tattoo of my rap name. I named my rap name after the same concept that I got this tattoo from. But effectively, Diane had this this sense of like artistic identity with her writing that she never got to, that she'd had and built up ever since she was a kid. And no matter what she did in her writing career, she had always felt like because she didn't do that one specific thing, that like she was still like, she was putting off a lot of her like growth and moving on from her past to like doing that thing, and it was writing a book of memoirs. And the whole episode was just very, very relatable to me and me holding myself back, because I've been while I've only been like writing songs for like 3 years, I've been playing guitar since I was 11. I've been playing drums arguably since like 15. I didn't take it seriously until I was 20. Like I've been very involved and obsessed with music for a very long time. I've just never written songs. So I was fucking scared of looking stupid, and that's like the biggest thing that holds people back.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because you have to look stupid.
Yeah.
And
Well, on that, what do you feel like changed? When that made you decide not that you weren't gonna be afraid of looking stupid anymore? Did just something click inside, or
that's actually kind of like what the resolution of the story is, like what made me do that, and what Damage's discography is following everything from that decision. And I can kind of get into that. So to wrap up the 3 conversation, or where Damage came from, is Diane comes to this thing where she realizes, or she asks the question, I had always thought that all of this damage that I had was in some way good, in some way it meant something, and in some way like would exist to help others. And if I truly can just so easily just walk away from this memoir project and pursue this other like teen mystery novel thing that could have been very successful for her, she's like, then she pauses the question, then what did I spend all that time being miserable for?
Yeah.
And that is what really hit me. And I was like it's just like, it's not good damage, it's just damage, like it just is. And so as somebody who's very into Buddhism, and was very like super into Buddhism at the time, because it was the one thing keeping me alive, is just the investigative nature of its version of prayer as meditation. And
Totally.
That's was me kind of logically walking, like, it's like, okay, like we'll do it for sure, but like let's like really like iron this out. Like let's get all the like, let's make a solid legal argument for like why I should kill myself. And so in the process of doing that, I came to like learn a lot of things about myself, And it turned into, so Damage comes from that. It comes from referencing that concept, and that's what got me off my ass to make music. And even then, I started like playing around with like a couple different types of stuff. It was originally kind of turning out some alt, not full on FKJ, but kind of like still woozy Glass Animals type stuff, like stuff that I thought would be more acceptable for me to make, wouldn't be like, you know, I don't know. I never initially saw myself rapping, even though like it's my favorite genre, and I was like, fuck, like, that's the one thing I guess I can't do, because that's like, you know, that's the lame thing for every.
Yeah, you didn't want to shake the boat too much.
Well, maybe. It was also like, this was before I came out, so like not to like misgender myself, but it was just basically just like, God damn it, like the last thing I want to be is some like white guy from like a middle class family who decides rap is gonna solve their problems. Like,
yeah.
But that was also me never actually giving it a shot. And once I did it for fun with my friend, like we did a thing where he's like, come on, like let's just set a 10-minute timer, let's write a verse, and then you spit it, and then I spit it, and let's just have fun. And he's like, all right, let's go. And I did my thing, and he looked at me, he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, right.
I was like, what, was that good? He's like, dude. And this is like someone who like actually raps. So he was like, yeah, like that was really good. You should try. Like you should really like try to like make, you know, rap songs. Like, you know, just, like actually explore like, you know, making hip hop music.
Which I think that's something that's really cool, because I think as artists, a lot of the times people like freak out and get in their head because they're like, oh, like my career has to be this, and it has to be so like formulaic and like calculated and stuff. But like sometimes the best things that I've experienced is that stuff that comes from just like the fun, like just like you and a homie and just like doing, you know, and like that is like what I feel like is really, that's where like music and creativity can even blossom the most, because you aren't holding anything back thinking about the marketing or thinking about this. It's just unhinged creativity, and that's where like the best things come from.
I never, when I re-embraced music, it was to be a substitute for like just getting high. It was, at the time, it was not, I'm gonna become this very successful musician, I'm gonna move to LA and I'm gonna like pursue music as a full-time career. It was very much like, right now I am like destroying my life in the most mediocre way possible, and that feels even worse because I don't have some like grand, remarkable thing to be upset about, and like that just like makes you feel worse. And that's something that a lot of people who come from like nothing incredibly special, like I'm not from immense wealth, but I've never worried about where food is coming from until I was on my own, like. And those, like, that's a really wide range of people.
Totally.
Like, that's a really wide range of people. And there's something so morbid about like that middle class, like to marriage to redoing the cycle pipeline, and the concept of how much of a social performance a lot of it is. And I felt myself like, all right, I'm gonna do it, and then I'm on there, and then I'm like, I've never been more like ready to die. Like I thought this was gonna make me happier. I thought I was supposed to stop acting feminine. I was supposed to stop like pursuing music as like the main thing that I do. And I was supposed to like grow up and like cut my hair and like go get married and shit. And I was like, and I like tried to do all of that stuff. And I'm like, God fucking damn it. This is like, I feel horrible. And I just want to like, I started doing this thing where I'm like, okay, let me just go down each one of my behaviors, from like really superficial shit, like getting high all the time, like from sun up to sundown. And like asking just very simple yes or no, do I do this because I genuinely want to, or do I do this because it's a social performance? And if I can get away with not performing this thing socially, I need to stop doing it if I don't genuinely want to do it. And like start working my way there. And like, how do I like whittle my way down to like the most authentic version of myself?
Totally.
And what was crazy, and this is, to be completely honest, something I never saw coming, was realizing that I'm trans. And like, I found that out very late in life, and everything started adding up. And because of just where I came from. Not like my family's like a bunch of country bumpkins or anything. Like,
Yeah.
or that I didn't travel. It's just trans visibility as a global phenomenon was very limited, and like I saw like Ray Finkel and like what's his face from Silence of the Lambs.
I don't
Oh,
know
I
his
can
name.
picture. I can picture
That's
them.
like that is what trans. It was like it was. That's like what it's portrayed.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
this is something that crazy men do to like evade the law.
Yeah.
Or like I'm like, oh, that's weird. Okay, whatever. And it was weird because I always like dealt with this thing where like I'm not really into guys. Like I'm mostly into women and feminine people. But I had urges of like existing in feminine energy, and I'd be like, well, no, that's gay shit. But fuck, like I don't want to be that because I don't like dudes are fucking annoying. Y'all are cool.
Okay, thanks.
And
I
so
got nervous.
as I
I was
was like unearthing all that shit, like over the course of time, and the more I started getting educated, and that's what, why all these like bigots are like, the internet's turning our kids gay. It's like, no, when the information's out there, people can make their own, up their own fucking mind.
Yeah.
And it really took a couple of like months of just concentrated introspection and like working on like following the feelings of happiness and following like, okay, what isn't hurting anybody but is only hurting me in terms of like me feeling like I have to perform it. And the more I whittled those things away, it was fucking almost comical how like aligned it was. And like when I finally like started zooming out and looking at the big picture, I'm like, oh fuck. Why did I spend so many years lifting weights?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. So
like-
how old were you when you realized that
was
you were
24.
trans? 24. Okay.
And it was like I knew I was like queer for like a long time, like ever since I was like 15, 16.
Okay.
But like I didn't know what it was. I knew I didn't want to date guys, and so I figured if I did anything other than what men are supposed to do, then I won't get laid. And it's like fuck, like I'll never and so much of this social performance, ultimately the end goal was to be loved by somebody like romantically, and like that romantic, platonic, spiritual, all three together want a love. And like I had experienced it twice at a young age, like like the 8th grade and high school love, and like it was a life-changing and enriching experience. And I definitely like unhealthily used it as like escapism and shit, but it ultimately became like what felt like heaven on earth, and what felt like being seen for like who you are. And that's something that we all individually crave, whether that's with one person or multiple or a fluid,
For sure.
interchangeable thing, whatever. And what's amazing is like the media doesn't teach us, and all the movies we watch and all the conditioning we go through never teaches us that like the most important source of where that comes from needs to be a burning fire within you.
Totally.
And otherwise it's an endless void that just takes. And you can only
Absolutely.
like manufacture so much of it until you're sick of that performance.
Totally.
And you bring in it muddies waters. And so I was so sick of like fucking up relationships, and like being so self-sabotagey and just being what felt like a very toxic person. It was all just because I had this thorn in my side, and once I saw it, you can't unsee it. And this is something you see with a lot of like trans and queer people who find, who come out later in life past their teens. And like sometimes like some like fucking pseudoscience people call it rapid onset gender dysphoria. That's a very crude term for something that does kind of happen. Like as soon as I saw it, you can't unsee it. You're like, oh shit. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like it's still sinking in. Like 3 years later, it's still sinking in. It's an ever evolving situation, and it's fluid how I feel. But it was incredible. And so just because it circumstantially led me here doesn't mean that like what I went through isn't something that I think everybody should go through. And not like I don't think that is like some like path to queerness, but I do think that a major aspect of queerness is radical acceptance, is self-love, and it's something that a lot of heteronormative conditioning kind of beats out of you, because if you have everything you need, they can't sell you anything.
It's true. That's one thing I think about all the time, where it's like you look at like the two drugs that are like very common and taxable is like nicotine and alcohol, you know, and there's a reason why they aren't banned, you know,
Yep.
just because it's addicting and they can make money off that. It's a little bit of a tangent, but that's just,
And
it's one of those
and
things.
it placates you, and it allows you to put up. And honestly, you could put weed with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting there now, especially.
You could put weed with there too, because I mean, at the end of the day, how many people, like myself included, how many people will burn themselves out week after week, working 70, 80 hours, and then spending all their free time outside of that scrolling through and consuming media, being told what we need to buy, because like being told how unhappy we are and exactly what's going to make us feel happy for like 2 seconds, and then actually, never mind, you're supposed to buy this instead. And if you subscribe, you can save 35%.
Yeah. Come on.
Month on month,
Yeah, exactly. You do have to get 12 months though. Like,
Yeah.
And there's no email to remind you. When
Yeah,
all
right.
Oh no, and you actually have to send the snail mail cancellation request in, but it has to be notarized.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, but it can't be like, no, it's not your local notary. It needs to be like where our headquarters is.
Yeah, and it has to arrive at least a month before the cancellation
yeah, it has to be
date.
30 days.
Yeah.
or it'll
I'm just
roll
getting pissed
over.
off just thinking about all this shit. I just am like, ugh, because I've been there.
I just want to speak to a person.
Yeah, right. Well, so this is actually getting into this. I think it's really interesting because you're talking about like consuming media, and like just like I feel like that our generation, that's something. Yeah,
There we go.
yeah, right.
Physics.
Yeah, come on. No, but it's one thing that's it's super interesting when you're talking about like I think our generation is just consume. Like a lot of people are just consuming so much. And it's hard when we talk about being an artist where you have to not consume but distribute.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like what do you think that
I consume a lot though, and it's like.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm sorry. Finish.
Well, I was just gonna ask, like, what, like, as not only a consumer but a distributor of content as
I like
well.
that. Yeah.
You know, like, what are some tricks, like, if you're trying to like help out another independent artist or something, like, what's something that you can recommend, or like, how do you do when it comes to distributing? You know.
I kind of like half heard your last sentence, because the idea of a bar like caught with content intent to distribute, kind of like that's an interest. There could be a bar there. Anything could be a bar.
I will take ghostwriting credits.
Yeah,
please.
take that, take that.
No, I'm just kidding.
I think it's interesting. So I actually have a lyric that kind of like addresses that, really on 2 songs. I have the song "Cloudy," which talks about the keeping up of social media getting in the way, and it comes right after "Closed Doors," where I kind of bring up that topic. But in "Closed Doors," I say, I feel caught in between the medium and social media, still having all these feelings but neglecting on my vehicle. Where that's really talking about, like, I feel caught in between this and wherever my phone is. Like, I feel caught between these 2 things.
Yeah.
The creation of substance and, like, the actual, like, process of doing it. And then the actual pushing out and, like, recontextualizing.
Yeah.
And it is a chore. But I have found a way to enjoy it and actually get creative fulfillment out of it, which I constantly talk to creatives about, where they're like, oh, I hate making videos, and I hate that I have to do this. And it's like, bro, especially as like I think unique to hip hop, and maybe I'm just biased, but like it is a form of lyricism almost to take it's a form of lyricism to take a feeling and recontextualize it into words, and then to take that song and recontextualize that into a visual. Because we're audio people that are now becoming videographers. And instead of looking up like audio engineering, I feel like it's much more valuable for me to learn more about composition and lighting.
Yeah,
Totally.
especially in this day and age where like there isn't anything that I don't think anybody discovers music today without there being a visual. Even if it's just the Spotify canvas in the back, there's always something visual
Which is why
going
when I
on.
walked past that alley and I looked at Andrew and I said, orbit me in that alley and I'm a rap prison twice and we just cut between it. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm telling you, this is gonna matte. Like this, like if we like color grade it with like a cool gray tone over it, it's gonna go fucking crazy.
Yeah,
And
I
if it doesn't,
love
it
these
doesn't. Whatever.
videos.
It'll take us 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think making content while draining and you can get lost in the sauce with it, when you balance it right, it is another form. It's a third extension. It's an extra. It's a Z axis of being a creator.
Yeah, I really like
taking-
that.
That's a really good way to put it.
Because like it makes you process it even more, and it's like, damn, what does this song mean? Like, what emotions does it actually evoke? And if you make, I'm no one to say whether your music is about something or not, but if you didn't there are people who straight up just don't put emotion into their music, like as in, not like they're incapable of it, but they just didn't feel the need to, or they're like more, for better or for worse, trying to be more commercially viable, and they're trying to elicit a different reaction, like. Making someone dance is an emotional reaction. And, like, that's, like, so many, like, stuck-up fucking white boy hip-hop fans will be like, oh, like, all that club music is lame. Like, I like this because it makes me feel something. I'm like, no, you like feeling better about yourself by binging To Pimp a Butterfly thinking you understand institutionalism and that you're washing your hands of, like, white privilege. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, dancing is an emotion. It's a very powerful emotion to the effect that it's a major industry and cultural phenomenon all across the world.
Totally.
Like, and if we as creatives who make music can understand our own craft and then just pick up some extra stuff or find video people, and it ends up bringing aspiring filmmakers and music people together, like, it's cool. I think it's cool. And I think a lot of people think it's a chore. And it's the same type of people who, if they were signed to a label, would be like, oh, I have to go on tour and I have to do this. It's like, no, you want to do something and then have your ego stroked and be told you're such a genius and then be left alone and given everything you want. Like, there's a give and a take. And, like, you have to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
And you can find a way to have fun with it. Like, that's what's cool, is if you're not having fun, so many people like who like make it a chore, everybody can see how much of a chore it is.
Yeah.
For you. Like, it's not like you're not fooling anybody. And you are just wasting your time because nobody cares and nobody wants to see you like reluctantly rapping your lyrics. Like nobody wants to see you, because it's like you should be more excited about your music. And I was just talking about this with one of my friends who's like, or anybody who talks to me about wanting to make content or, oh, I wish I could do this. I'm like, dude, like you have to care. Like nobody's going to care more about your shit than you.
Totally.
For like, it's the 80-20, man. Like by the time there are people, real life people who care more about your shit, genuinely more about your shit than you do, then dude, like it's a can of worms that you can't open and you're a very famous person. Like
that is a quote. Like I have said that so many times. Like you can't expect someone to care. If you don't care, why should I care?
How, like,
like, no, I love that. There are artists.
He was shaking. I don't know if you noticed, but like
no,
when you were saying that, he's like
all the time. I love that because I work with artists and they'll be like, I got this new song, man. Let me put it on. They instantly play it. Like the mix isn't great. Like I'm gonna change this and this and this.
Fuck them
it's
disclaimers,
like,
bro.
I'm like, great, I understand. If I know you and I respect you, I'll know that maybe, like, this is a work in progress.
It shouldn't need to be mixed to sound good.
Totally.
And don't just stand there and shit on your own work. Let me come to my own, like, conclusions. If you're going to sit there and shit on your work, why are we even standing here listening to your work? Like, I love that, like, that angle that you have there. Yeah. And then kind of on the subject of making content fun, making content something you want to do, I want to talk about the Gummy races.
Oh, Gummy races.
I love this concept. It is so funny to me. So do you want to explain to the uninitiated what a gummy race is?
So a gummy race is something that I do, and it's actually like inspired from, I don't even know who the comedian was, but like I remember this very distinctly. I was in the back of my dad's car. He had Sirius XM on, privilege. And he had like a comedy station on, and this dude was going, and this dude was talking about Ambien racing. And he was like, you ever pop an Ambien at the club and try to make it home? And like, I don't know why. That's just some stupid core memory of me being 7 hearing that. And I'm coming up with this concept. I'm like, well, what if I like took a gummy, or like, I can't remember exactly how, like what came first, but I think I ended up just doing it. Like I'm like, I got to write this. I really want to take this gummy. I don't want to take it too late. And if I forget to have it before dinner, then it's going to be like 9 o'clock and I'm not going to take it. Because, I mean, if you take a gummy at 9 and you go to bed at like 11, you're fucked the next morning. Like, and so I like to take them before the sun's down if I can. So I was like, all right, let me just take it and let me just try to finish it before it hits. And then I like got it done really quickly. And I was like, that was an interesting bit of motivation.
To like drive through, you get it done.
Yeah, because I'm like, man, like if this smacks me, then I won't be able to like maybe. And what will be the worst is I'll have it all done and laid out, and then I'll go to actually record it, and I won't be able to hit it the way I want it, or I'll be too high, and even if I do hit it right, I'll just be sitting here overthinking it, and I'll be like, this sucks, this sucks, which I've done. And if I realize that, I'm like, wait, I'm high. Control, save, and then I listen to it in the morning. I'm like, okay, this is fine.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. And because I'll even hear like finished masters of my song sometimes. If I'm like too stoned, I'll listen to it. I'm like hearing all this stuff. I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. 300,000 people disagree with you. Like,
yeah, totally right.
So with gummy races, so I decided to start doing them like on camera. And it got to the point where like I have a big backlog. So like some of them are like live on the spot. Others are like me just like rushing through something that is already done, but everything in a gummy race was made with a gummy race. It's a very common thing I do when I get off of work at like 4:30. I have like a set, like I get ready, pick a beat, and then I'm gonna take the gummy, start writing, and I want to be done by the time like it's coming up, because then I can like make dinner and enjoy it. It's just like, a like maybe 2-3 days a week. I'm trying to do that.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask how often. Yeah.
In terms of like making them videos, not all the time. It's more like, and it became like a very recent thing, and now it's just kind of like a lot to make. It's more like it's a lot to make, and then I gotta edit it down, and I have iMovie, and it's like, I don't feel like doing it. And other times I'm just trying to write. Yeah. But I am trying to, just make sure I get them more on camera. And now that I started doing them with Rain's fucking A7 III, I'm like, fuck. Now, like, if Rain's using them, my roommate, Rain Stern, at Rain Stern, check her out. She's mix John Mayer, Prince, and Haley Williams.
Oh, shit.
And a better guitar player than any of them. I live with a fucking legend.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Unreal. But
so here's the thing. What DAW do you use to produce?
I use Logic. I want to get into Ableton.
So here's the thing. First of all, fuck off.
we have a little thing going between.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they have a bundle package that you can get Final Cut and Logic for. So if you already have Logic, I would try and see if you could contact some Apple people. Again, you might have to hit them at this specific day before it's too late. Whatever, all that. But see if you can do that, because they do. It's the same price as Logic. I think $200, and you can get Final Cut and Logic for the freezies and the motion picture, motion
whatever
capture.
The fuck their After Effects, Apple's version of After Effects.
I think it's called Motion.
Motion something.
Yeah.
Motion Array.
Yeah.
No. Motion Array is a stock footage and audio subscription.
Oh, okay.
I really like Motion Array too, though. Shout out Motion Array.
How about
we
that?
have a subscription to Motion Array. It's fucking. That's where all the music for the videos comes from.
I was about to say. No, but that's just if you're stuck on the iMovie grind, that might help you out.
Yeah, and that kind of just, it just makes me kind of reluctant to do it, and more it's like if it's there, which is why when I was talking about when I walked in, I'm like, this is exactly what I would like my living room. This exact same thing. I want Roseflower Records, but like,
Yeah, we can. I can send you the links.
Have
for
it
everything.
to a certain degree where like after work, because I still work full time and I still have to like take care of my dog and take care of my body and sleep and like clean and do all of that stuff. Creating a living environment where I have a path of least resistance to where ideally I should be able to just make some very quick switch flips, take off my work shirt, put on something comfy, and just turn the mic on and start working. Because if it's anything other than that, it's so easy to light a joint and turn on Netflix. It's so easy. It's so fucking easy that I killed my dreams for like a decade doing that. Like I preferred to do that for an entire decade. I'm like, I'm so sick of that. But like there are habits that you have to break, and like your environment reinforces your habits.
Totally.
And that's the people, that's the actual physical place. So like that's something that I want to move forward and continue to do more gummy races. Eventually I want to do them like as a live stream.
I was about to say, make it competitive.
If I could OBS it through the A7 III and then just act and like whether I have to screen record or I can actually have it saved to the SD while I'm streaming.
You can also download the stream.
Yeah. I can tell you the newest version of OBS that we use for streaming, you can record and stream at the same time. And it'll record at the same, regardless of, say, like your internet shitty and
no latency or
quality goes down. Yeah, it's great. We've been using it.
Well, so does it record locally then?
Yes, it records locally. And then you can ask it where to go. So you can just dump it on.
We're just geeking out.
For a second. You can just dump it on the desktop or like put it in a specific folder, whatever it might be. Like, no, it's great. You just hit start streaming and then you hit start recording at the same time.
So then that's it. That's actually.
So you have no excuse. We better see.
Yeah,
this
yeah. We just killed the excuse right there.
So then I'll start. So then I'll work my way to start streaming them through OBS, record them, and then I'll edit those down to actually
in Final Cut.
In Final Cut.
Hopefully,
I gotta send snail mail for that one.
Yeah, yeah. 30 days before, and the whole.
No, we haven't.
Notarized.
But yeah, so the gummy races, it was cool. It was just an idea. I thought it would be a cool way to start like just teasing stuff that I don't know what I'm doing with it, or half of it's hidden Renaissance stuff, like just stuff that like is gonna be on hidden Renaissance songs. And it's just a good way to have that and to kind of test them out.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because they're not always like sometimes TikToks go crazy for no reason. So like the third episode is currently like you can see it in the playlist, but you can't actually watch it. And it's episode 4, but it's that bonsai demo that Alkane made that beat. And it's the one where I'm trying to get, the Camino Sours. Mm-hmm. It's me trying to get that container open because it's Camino Sours and they're fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And I spend like while I'm describing the gummy race, I'm like trying to open it. And eventually, I guess because you saw what like the label of the package was, it hit 260,000 views in 5 hours, and then was struck down in the heart of her prime for drug use. And I couldn't even appeal because I was like, they got me, I guess.
Yeah.
But like that's ridiculous.
But then at the same time, I actually have this down because you talked about it in a TikTok. You have Chris Udanga and the Raw guy, the guy who runs Raw Papers, straight up smoking J's on live in their whole videos. It's bull.
Anytime someone reports me, it's bigotry. It's identity politics.
Like it's like,
oh, I don't like tranny and rap. Report. I will be sitting there not doing anything other than just like doing my makeup and talking about my day. And I'll get banned from live with 5 people watching for hateful behavior.
I think we found some hateful behavior, but I don't think you were the one doing it. Like
it's literally they just sit there, they click report, one reason, report, second reason. And there are Discords, there are 4chan message boards where they keep tracks. Like I'm on registers all over the internet, along with all the other notable trans creators, and they all keep tabs on me, and then they'll at everyone. So-and-so is live, let's go fuck them up. And when you see one, they're like ants. Before you know it, it's like you'll see, hey, dude, and then you'll see, bro, man, repent, Jesus. And a lot of black creators deal with this too. You'll start to see some fucking crazy shit come in, and then, and black queer creators get it even worse.
Yeah. Would you say you think they're going to pull up to this once we post it?
I have no idea. I don't get a lot of... I don't know. Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, if you're
Pull up.
If you're here, eat my dick.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you say it in the mic?
Eat my dick. There you go.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Just
I'm
for
sorry.
the listeners at home.
Come hang out with my friend Smith and Wesson.
Mm.
They're excited to meet you. But yeah, it's lame.
Yeah,
And so
there's
live
no
streaming's-
and there's no reason why TikTok can't do something about it. They just kind of don't.
They don't
you know?
want to. Like they agree with those people. Like China, and like whether or not they're actually regulated by China doesn't like queer or trans. It definitely doesn't like weed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like there's everything about that video. Like you could take that as far up the ladder as you want to go. It's like nobody's gonna like that. It's just because I'm the one doing it. And just, this exists across like all sorts of different non-default identities. And there's double standards.
Yeah, if you don't fit into what this group of people believe is correct or just how to live life in the way that they see life being lived,
Yeah.
it's over. Yeah, there's no
And when you're not in the in group, you're on thin ice. So like a great example is like when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock.
Wait, really? When did that happen?
Hold up. Do we got that on camera?
Wait, is that a bit? Micah,
This is
Micah,
a
look
bit.
at
Are you
me.
doing
Is
a
this
bit?
It is absolutely 100%
Okay.
a bit.
I
I thought you guys were gonna just join with me.
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't me. Okay.
I
Whoa,
thought
you got me.
I thought someone was gonna be like, yeah, haha, but no, I didn't mean for that to be that serious.
I was like, no, because that would have been fascinating.
Yeah, if
that
you
would have been
somehow
truly
missed that,
fascinating.
Like that massive.
I should have kept going with
That's
it.
your
'cause
like,
we're
yeah,
gonna-
what happened on September 11th? Why is everybody so like up in a bush? I
I
just
don't know.
compared Will Smith slapping Chris Rock.
Yeah, wait, pause.
Never forget.
Never forget.
Jumping levels. That's awesome.
We're talking about just double standards.
Yeah.
And how that applies to like that Gummy race that like did really, really well. And the rest of them have done okay. Like they'll all do anywhere between like 2K and 10K. And they're just there. Which is I don't care about these numbers because if even one or two of those 10,000 people, if 99,000 of them saw, that's not how math works. But if like the vast majority of the people who saw are just people who just watch everything I do, cool, that's great.
Yeah.
That's what I want. But if even like one or two people see me and become one of those 99,000 people, then that's worth it. And that's exactly a great example is I was live streaming. I was rehearsing with my drummer because I'm doing a show with a live band next Saturday. I'll actually I sent you the.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And we were working out like choreographing like the drum parts. And I was like here thinking he had a bunch of ideas. He didn't have as many. So I was like trying to figure out like how exactly I wanted. Because you can't just recreate trap beats unless you're like a really fucking
Unless you're a
good drummer.
god drummer with
Yeah. And that's not what his he's a good drummer for sure. And he's gonna be able to do what we need. And so we were working together to like figure shit out. So I had maybe between 10 and 4 people over like 2 hours just watching me on tape. There was like a point where we were like just warming up and I ran through double take, Rome, and there was like 75 people, and then like it started to like whittle down when they got bored.
Yeah, TikTok,
So-
they like throw it out to like 300 people, and then like it
Well,
depends how those people interact with it. I
It's
believe.
interesting. Like I watch Rain hold a couple hundred to even 1,000 sometimes for like 2 hours just her and a guitar. But if it's with the band, oh dude, I'm so excited to put y'all under Rain. But so we're sitting there and there's like 4 or 5 people for the vast majority of this 2 hours. And then that next morning, like somewhat the same person who was commenting, I was like, oh yeah, cool. I guess someone just found me and maybe they were one of those 75 and they stuck around. And that person messaged me on Instagram the next morning and said, hey, I watched your whole live on TikTok. I'm like, you watched the whole fucking thing? Like while we're like
tuning and like
yeah, like all the like banter and the dialogue and me unplugging the mic to try to figure out the feedback and all this sort of shit. Like you stuck around. And he's like, when the live ended, I went through your entire discography last night and again this morning. And like, so you basically just spent the last 8 hours like entirely engulfed in like my media. And then and then like reached out saying like I have never been so deeply impacted by an artist. I have never felt so seen in a way that is just so genuinely fresh musically, and I just like thank you and like keep doing what you're doing. And like I get those types of messages all the time, and I love each and every one of them, and I make sure to respond to them. I make sure to have a conversation and make sure they get into the Discord so they can all talk.
Which goes a long way.
Dude, if you saw someone like regardless of size, like let's take Kendrick for example. Kendrick's going to impact you regardless of the size. And like you don't like him more because he's more popular. Like you like him because he's undeniably good. And like when you hear him, and imagine you like sent like let's say he was a big artist and you heard him for the first time, and you shot him a DM and he hit you back with something that was very obviously a personalized message, or even a
heartfelt,
voice memo. And like, how would that like besides like you were already sold on the music, and you might have even gotten deeply invested and were already on your way to becoming obsessed, but then you get that personalized touch, you will never forget that.
That's a diehard. You just immediately,
and that's what I want everybody. I want as many of those people to be true diehards as possible, and anybody that's not that, they're gonna come and go anyway. So like, not that I don't care about them, but like I want to pay as much attention to those people as possible
because they're paying attention,
which is why I don't trip about shit blowing up. Because even if every video just gets me one real fan, then I just gotta make a million videos. I'll be good. Like, okay, whatever. Then it's just a numbers game. But I don't care about fickle attention. I don't care about passive listening. Like, that's not what my music's made for. And it's just, you can be very successful financially in terms of just being able to like have everything you need and build towards, a financial future. You can do all of those things and just live within your means and be everything to a small group of people. And that's all I'm really focused on.
Yeah.
Because honestly, for someone like me, I don't want to be famous. I don't want I don't want to have a situation where like someone sends me my sister's finger. I mean, dude, like it's like what people want to do to people like me is fucked up. And I'm white and thin. Like, Jesus Christ, if I was plus sized, black, disabled, talking the same shit I talk.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the other thing. I'm not Dylan. Like Dylan Mulvaney is the most like palatable, like, oh, like I'm harmless and I'm the exact. I'm like kill Mitch McConnell. I'm like new country. I'm like fuck the sovereignty of the United States. Like I say really crazy shit that I believe in. I don't say shit I don't believe in, but it's like, it's a big like risk, and I don't want to be that famous because then I have to water that down, and then I contribute to the thing I don't want. I become the thing I want to destroy, and I don't care about that system because I don't care about what it has to offer.
Yeah. And that goes back to the entire conversation we had at the start of this podcast about being true to yourself and doing what you want to do. So yeah, that completely tracks. Yeah.
They'll bury me honest, so I'm not scared to die. Like, whatever. Like, I have to, like, you don't get to control when you die. You don't get to control, like, how much time you have. You can do a lot of things to, like, maximize it and, like, not put yourself in harm's way. And one of those things that I decided is maybe I shouldn't be some radical, ass motherfucker aiming for the Billboard Top 100. Because, like, there are people who are far more talented than me who still aren't up there. Like, we were just talking about fucking Amine.
Yeah.
Like, we were just talking about Amine.
Yeah.
And not, like, him and I are in the same lane creatively whatsoever, but, like that's just another example. To a certain degree, it doesn't matter how fucking good you are. And, like, he's an example of someone who's fucking well-established. He's balling. Like, he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
And he's not famous. He doesn't have to deal with a lot of shit. I mean, how, like, people, like, what are you going to try to cancel him for something stupid he does? Like, who is he to, like, the masses?
Yeah.
But in his circle, he's the shit. And he packs out stadiums and he does his thing. And that is that happy medium that I personally strive for. Like, if I'm going to be big and well known, like, for sure, like, that's up to them. But, like, I don't know. I'm focused on one fan at a time. It's not too big because I still have to work a job. Like, I'm still doing this, like, in my free time and shit. So, like, I'm very one fan at a time, and like that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that's gonna take you
until
a lot
that's
farther.
unbearable. I don't need. There's no reason for me to stop that.
Yeah.
And what I'm just adding to that is I think that there's the beauty in that is personally how I see music and creativity and all that. I think that's gonna do you better.
Yeah, like sending the personalized messages, making sure you're there for each person in the long run, is going to take you further than, awesome, this video got 300K views, I got 5,000, 6,000 followers out of it, but not a single one of them will remember that they followed you. A week later, they'll be like, who was that? Oh, yeah, from that one video, unfollow. You know, like, and that's not going to happen to you because, you're building this true fan base through genuine connection, genuine mutual understanding, I think you could say.
Well, it's that, and then also you mix in with the fact that I think that, sure, you could probably make a lot more money if you're on the billboards, I would assume, because you're selling on the billboards.
So, yeah.
But, like, I can almost promise you'd probably be way more happier.
It's like, that's like, you make more money. I'm like, to do what?
Yeah.
Are you gonna like give all that money and like funnel it to enrich other people's lives, or are you just gonna get stuff?
Yeah, buy way more gummies. Think about all the
Like,
gummies.
How many gummies can you eat?
Everyone's got a level. There's a threshold.
It's like, again, like if I end up becoming very successful and I get to the point where like I'm able to easily clear like, low six figures, like a little 100, 120, that's like very luxurious.
Yeah,
and
that's a
comfortable.
great life.
That's a great life.
You know?
For someone who's now infertile, fuck them kids, I'm good. And the rest I'll just like fucking do all sorts of shit. Start programs, buy people's college scholarships and shit, and
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the...
give people businesses and like...
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the,
Giving out
the
fishing poles.
acronym. It's like DINK, dual income, no kids.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
that seems like
Are
the
you assuming
life.
I'm monogamous?
Hey.
Polycule, 6 figures, bitch. We millionaire orgy parties. What the fuck's but like, yeah, it's just like, it's not important. Like, again, like what you're saying, it's like, what's gonna actually make you happy? And it's like, that's like, it goes back to social performance. Like a lot of people feel, and I felt like with someone who had a successful dad and a successful mom, like, how do I outdo that? Like it's this assumed pressure that because of the baseline I started at, like, how do I outdo that? And this goes back to the morbidity of middle class upbringing. Not like it's all horrible, but there's a very morbid aspect of it that a lot of people who get into this existential space start to consider is like, what is my redemption arc? Like, is life entirely flat, or do I have to now become ultra wealthy? Do I have to match that ratio? Like, how do I do that? And why do I feel this pressure to do that? And like, why would I feel like I'd be disappointing those who brought me up if I did just as good or not as good from like a quantity number standpoint as them? And it's because we don't emphasize happiness and self-love and doing things for the sake of it being the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
And it's more like, just buy, like just amass wealth, keep it away from others, keep it in the family. Like, and, God forbid we start actually getting into like racism or like religious stuff where like, you got to marry a Jew or you got to do this or like whatever it is. And I fucking hate all of that shit. It's all social performance, and it's all taking away from the human experience. It's diluting the human experience to a repeatable set of steps that some people arbitrarily agree will create the right society. When, oh, by the way, they're the ones that reap most of the benefits.
Totally.
And like, it's ridiculous. So as I started to walk away from all that, it took away like this operating fear that I had of like, oh, but if I try this and I don't do like a stable career, then like something bad could happen. And there's like plenty of bad things happening while I was trying to do the stable career thing.
Totally.
And like it's like cliche, but Jim Carrey's like, you could fail at something you hate.
Yeah.
Just as likely as you failing at something you love. So like, go fucking do that thing, or at least do it first.
And I think that that's like the best thing that we could even say. Just do.
Just do it.
Yeah. And I think it's honestly something where we are running towards the end of time. So I just want to say that. I think that's like a beautiful thing to even end on. Just like go and do and experience life and what you truly believe is truth and search that.
Because if you leave the house at least once a day, bro, like you don't know what the fuck's happening to you.
Totally.
Anything
How
can
many
happen
how
out,
many of y'all text and drove today? I text and drive. I'm guilty.
Like, I only got my license 2 months ago. I'm terrified to do anything.
Don't do it. It's a bad habit. And like, how many of us eat garbage food that while heart disease, fucking car crashes, and gun violence being like the top 3 fucking killers in this country? Like, we really, as I encourage everybody to develop a comfortable, peaceful level of understanding and empathy with their own mortality, because it is at the core of so much self-imposed suffering. And so much of what we do is to run away from the fact that we haven't really reconciled the fact that we're going to die. And whether or not that includes your embracing of an afterlife and some sort of doctrine to get you there, whatever that means, the actual process of making that transition from what you think is this like individual consciousness back into the collective, we're still part of the collective. And that is either God or it's, you know, whatever it is to anybody. And the quicker you can get to focusing on like, how do I really ease that relationship, the less fear and apprehension you have to like, just go fucking do it. Like,
totally.
In a more like silly, lighthearted way, a lot of the people who you meet that are like, oh, life's a fucking game, bro. It's the fucking Matrix. And now I'm seeing the code. Like, that's what that is. Like, it's fucking beautiful. And once you figure that out, and again, you have the mortality part taken care of, and it's just like, bro, like I'm unstoppable. The worst thing you could do is fucking take me off the planet. Like, okay, cool. Like, every second that I've spent alive since making these decisions, outside of things I have to do to just provide for myself because I'm in a capitalistic nightmare like we all are, like, it's just, I'm doing it because it makes me happy. Or it makes others happy, which makes me happy.
There you go.
And like, I've like, all of a sudden, my desires for like material things, and in like an exorbitant sense, like wanting like sports cars and all this and this and that. Like, I want one cool car. I want a motorcycle, and I want like a utility vehicle to like camp in or like haul ass out of the zombie apocalypse in.
Toyota Sequoia.
Like, Sequoia. I was thinking, I mean, honestly, the
soccer mom car, trust me.
Forerunners.
Forerunners great too. Those are
crazy.
great. Good combos, both.
Yeah.
Tacoma.
Tacoma actually has the highest resale value at any vehicle. It's Tacomas, Camrys, and Civics, I think.
How about that?
Yeah.
Sitting on a gold mine over there.
I own a stick shift 03.
Dang.
Ooh, and no one's gonna steal it. Ooh,
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
beautiful.
But yeah, that's like, I don't know. That's just what my thing's about. So if you fuck with that shit, listen to my music.
And it's
you
cool
go.
to hear your story. Thank you for coming on
Yeah.
and like active.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, just like it's cool to, you know, hear someone just very authentic and just really preach their truth and and I love just kind of the in your face mentality too.
Yeah.
I just think it's awesome. So
I mean, look, I feel like you kind of have to be in people's faces
Totally.
for like what we're talking about, because
Absolutely.
like it's a violent catharsis of like waking up and like deciding to make uncomfortable changes. Like, what I'm going through is very uncomfortable changes, and doing it online is a form of exposure therapy for me. And for me to be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone by building a new life for myself while joining the ranks of people who are paving a way for others, because I'm not like the only one doing this. This wasn't my idea.
yeah.
You're
just
there are
adding
plenty
to
of
the
people who are probably doing
conversation.
it way better than I am.
Yeah.
This is just my version of it.
That's cool.
Yeah, amazing. So we got. I kind of stole the Hot Ones thing. Shout out Sean Evans. We got that camera. We got this camera. Oh yeah, and we got the third
The
one.
Yerba
up there.
Mate camera,
We got
yeah.
the Yerba Mate hidden camera. Where can people find you? What are you up to? Where can they see you? I know maybe you have a show coming up.
Yeah.
What What do you want the people to know?
My name is Damage, DAMAG3. You can find me by that name on all the streaming platforms, wherever you listen to music. You can find me on all the socials at ITSDAMAG3. I'm much more active on TikTok and Instagram, but that's my handle for literally every social media platform. I got a show. I think we actually only have like 20 tickets left, so good luck.
Shit, I gotta get ours, bro.
Yeah, definitely grab yours. But yeah, you can. I got shows. I got online. I got music, and more stuff's coming. I'm dropping a lot of music this year. So
Hell yeah.
Perfect.
hell yeah.
Yeah, I would say DAMAG3 sounds way better than just having the E on the end. It just has a better ring to it when you're saying it.
Otherwise, I would just say Damage. But like I do just say Damage. But
Yeah.
that's so. It's like back to like picking the name. They were like. There's still to this day where like I'm so glad I went through that thought exercise and like people will be like, oh yeah, oh, you make music, yeah, I'll look you up, what's your name? And they'll say like there's a different attitude, and then I'll be like Damage, and they'll be like, ooh.
I like
They're
it.
like, that's catchy.
Damn.
Like, ooh, like that's
That's cool.
interesting. I'm like with a 3. They're like, okay. And they're like, oh shit, look at you right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
cool.
So speaking of catchy artist names, Micah, where can everyone find you?
Oh yeah.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Shoelace Music, because, shoelace. Spelled SHOOLACE, because you got to be quirky and individual.
Got to.
Come on. And Finlay, where can everyone find you and Roseflower Records?
You can find me on Instagram at Finlay did it, because who did it?
Finlay did it.
I've got him trained now. It's so good. You can find Roseflower Records on Instagram and TikTok at Roseflower Records, on Twitter at Roseflower Records, and at www.roseflowerrecords.com. Ladies, gentlemen, everybody, thank you so much for coming down. Thank you again, Damage. Thank you so much for having us.
Pleasure.
We'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye, guys.
Peace.